Oh, hello, everybody. I'm Esposito. I'm a recent graduate of Temple University Sport Management. Now I'm attending St. John's, completing my master's in sport management, as well as being a graduate assistant in the athletic department. So working in marketing with all the athletic teams, and I'm completing my master's. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys. This is going to be a very open conversation. I want to help any woman in sports, any questions you guys have, anything that I can do to help you in this industry, please let me know. So I'm just going to jump into my first topic now and then stop me with any questions whenever you need. So some tips people asked me was how to best excel in college or to excel in an industry that is male dominated. So my biggest piece of advice for that is to network. Regardless of where you're at, you never know what kind of networking opportunity can be there. It can be the smallest thing that you're doing, but people are always watching. And that's something that I really learned, that people are always watching to see how you do the small tasks before you're given the big ones. So even if you have to do a volunteer opportunity that, isn't the most glamorous or isn't something that, you really want to do right now, if you do a really good job at that, somebody could watch you and then offer you a whole different position for somewhere that you're not even aware about. So that was really important for me. I was working one of the games and I was doing a small task like putting towels up, and I got seen by somebody else who saw me, doing really well, doing a task that, people might not want to do. And then from there you get offered other opportunities. So just make sure that you do your best regardless of if it's something big or if it's something small, because you don't know who's watching or you don't know what could happen after that. So that's just something that was really important that helped me a lot throughout my college, and even after college, I still do that. If somebody asks me to do a small task, I make sure to do it. I make sure to say yes and just do my best at any given task. And also connect with your professors, connect with your managers, connect with people out. You never know where one connection could lead you. And something big about this industry is everybody knows everybody. It seems like the sports world is so big, but when it comes down to it, your manager probably knows a different manager who knows them. So it's just always good to do a good job, to be ready, to be on time, to be punctual, to have these transferable skills that if I'm talking to somebody else, I'll say, she did a really good job when she was doing this, so I recommend that she does that. So that's really important. Just always be on your toes, always make connections, because you never know what can really lead to something else. And I think that's really important. And then getting to being a woman in this industry, in such a male-dominated industry, don't back down and don't feel like just because maybe you don't see a lot of people that look like you on the field, or I've been the only woman in my class or in my job sometimes, and you cannot back down from that. But you have to otherwise remember, like, I'm here for a reason. I got this for a reason, the same reason that the males got this, and there's nothing that separates us besides our gender. So that was something I really had to remember, because a few of my internships, there'll be like 12, 13 guys, and then I was the only girl there. And, it's a little intimidating, because then you think you have to prove yourself to them. And one, you already got the position because you proved yourself to somebody. It's not about proving yourself to your coworkers who are men or anything like that. It's not a competition. You just have to remember that you're working with people towards a common goal. So you have to figure out how to do it. You're all qualified. You're all there for a reason. So that was a big thing that I had to remember, because it's uncomfortable being the only girl in the room sometimes. Like, it can be intimidating, it can be uncomfortable, but you have to realize you can really grow from that, and not to let anybody else back you down, because you're where you're supposed to be and you're there for a reason. And times are changing and we're seeing more women now, but it's still nowhere close to where it should be, or where we hopefully it will be soon. So just don't back down. Don't be scared to apply for any opportunities that you might be the only woman at, or anything like that, because times are changing and we can do anything. There's nothing that women can't do. So that's just something that is really important to me, because in this industry, I get asked that all the time, or people assume that you're doing it for the wrong reason. So, just stick towards your passion and you will end up where you need to be, and don't back down. So that's really important. I'm going to answer this one question. So my ultimate goal, well, sports world is so big, but right now I would say my ultimate goal is to run bowl games or college athletic games, the big type games like that, but you have to start small. So I've worked a few bowl games, and I've worked the game day operations side of it, but I've worked the whole week towards it. So basically doing event management and game day operations for professional or collegiate level sports. But there's so many things impacted in that I'm trying to figure out exactly which part of it. I do marketing now, which is, people think it's just like the promotion side, but there's a lot that goes on the back side of marketing, and then as well as game day operations. So for example, when I worked a bowl game in Florida, you have to prepare for that 1 week for a year. So it's things that people don't think about that really goes into this. So when people say they want to work in sports, it's my advice to you is to intern and work or volunteer in any department you can think of, because you never know the positions you might find, what you might come across. You might love something more than something else, and then you might not even know about half the positions that are available. So another big piece of advice is to figure out what you like and don't like before you get into a full-time job, because it's easier to not like a little internship or a volunteer opportunity rather than not liking your job and realizing that you don't like it. So that was something important to me, and I kind of had to learn that I had to do a few things weren't my favorite or weren't things I really look forward to, but from there you learn, okay, I don't like to do that, and I really excelled at this during that. And it's kind of just figuring yourself out, just like any other job in any other industry. But that was definitely an important thing to remember. So with that, I'm going to start talking about my experiences, and if there's any specific questions about my experiences, I can answer those too. So I completed about 10 internships, or a little bit over 10 internships at Temple. It varied from Temple football. I started there as an equipment manager before I even began at Temple. I moved in like a month and a half early to be the football manager. From that, I ended up making good connections and becoming a student worker in marketing. So I kind of transitioned from just football over to marketing, where I would work the football games, but also work the basketball games. I did the Philadelphia Soul, which is the Arena League football. I did a little internship with them. A really good internship I had was with the United States Golf Association. I was working the US Open. So that was like a 9-10 week internship in New York. And we set up everything to run the US Open. And it was a really good experience. It was a huge event to work, but people only really see the glamorous side of that. But the other side to that is working like 27-hour days or 120-hour weeks. And it's just things, people don't think about. And yes, it's very glamorous. I love what I do. I have a big passion for it. But to get to doing those big things and to get to be there on Championship Sunday for one of the biggest golf tournaments of the year, you have to put in all the work before. So I think that's really important to remember, is even if it's not as glamorous or if it's as luxury as you want, if you put the work in now, it will pay off later. It always will pay off. So that was a big thing. Just put your head down and get to work. And that's something I had to realize with USGA. I was one of the few girls there, and it was a lot of manual labor. So I had to deal with, the men saying, oh, I'll do this, I'll pick this up. You can't do that. You can just go clean, stuff like that. I hear those comments all the time. And that's where you just have to remind them, we both got this for the same reason. We were asked the same questions in an interview, and we're just as qualified. So there's no reason, I can't do what I came here to do. So that was like my first real adjustment of realizing that, there's a little difference between the men and the women, some of the men and some of the women in this industry, because I was getting asked if I wanted to clean instead of, driving something or picking up something or putting in fencing. So it's just really important to remember that we're all in the same room for a reason. Let's just work together. Let's figure out our strengths and weaknesses to come together to work. So that was a big lesson. I probably learned the most lessons and the most about myself with the USGA, just because it was just a new experience for me. It's something I had to learn. And yeah, but I'm really glad that I did that, because I feel like I learned so much from that. And that's what I want to share with you all before, or if you haven't had a position like that or had something like that happen, I think it's important to hear about it before you go in and get blindsided about, what could happen or what you're going to deal with. So just be overly prepared for whatever you might have. You never know. Just go into it like, I came here to work. I'm going to get my job done. And that's all you need to do. Just make a good impression, work hard. And that goes for any internship or any position anybody has. And I got that by connecting with somebody who came to one of my classes and started talking. I did a follow-up email, I applied to it, and it ended up working out. So that's what I'm saying. If somebody comes in and gives you a presentation about something and you're like, I might be interested, but I'm not sure, still reach out, because the worst that can happen is, you're not interested or they're not looking for something, but it's not a big loss and it's not a big problem to have. So after that, I've done a few internships with Temple football. I did communications one season, and then I did the equipment the other. And then I was a bowl week intern with the Gasparilla Bowl for 2 years, that's where I really learned a lot, because some of these opportunities that you might not have at home, like in Philly, there was not a bowl game I could work. So, sometimes you have to pay a little bit or maybe get on a flight or something like that. But then you have to think about the experience that comes with that. Like, I learned so much in that week that I really wanted to do that for the rest of my life. Like, that's something that I really would enjoy doing, but I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't had the opportunity. So that just goes to say, go out of your comfort zone, do things that are uncomfortable, because that's where you'll grow the most. And that's what's really important. And then I started working with the New York Jets last season. I was a game day corporate partnership intern. So I would go there. I would drive there for game days, get there about 6 or 7 hours before kickoff, take care of everything, the VIP hospitality check-in. I would escort the partners, escort the players' families and whatever guests they had with them, aid with the Jets legends and Jets alumni appearances, sponsor activations. So working with the Jets was a really cool experience because I got to put together things I did at Temple Athletics with a professional team. And you just learn a lot, even if you're only there for game days. You still learn a lot, and there's so many connections to be made there because you walk past so many staff every day, and a simple hi, how are you, or hello, good morning, you know, it kind of stands out because you just have to make yourself different and just show like how hard you work to want to keep having these opportunities. And then after I finished with the Jets, I started with the 76ers as a team attendant. And this one is probably the one I get the most questions about. So if you have anything that you want to know about this, let me know. But so I was a team attendant. So basically I just made sure that all of the players were taken care of from a player standpoint. So if they needed another pair of shoes, I would get it for them. I would rebound for them. I would be there. So if we had a game at 7 p.m., I would go into the practice facility at 8 a.m. and I would stay at the practice facility from 8 a.m. to like 4 or 5 p.m. And then after that, I would drive to the arena and then I would stay there till the game was over and probably get home at like 12 or 1 a.m. So it's a great position. I love what I did, but just some things people don't think about is the time commitment that you have to put in or the hours you have to put in. But I have a passion for it, so it never really felt like I was working or really felt like, you know, I had anything to worry about. But other people, you know, if you just think about the glamorous side of just working a NBA game and it's so fun, which it is fun. It was a great experience. But just think about the things that go in before the game or things that you have to do. But when I got to the games, I would rebound for the players, warm them up, make sure the locker room was set up. I was at the away locker room, so I would make sure that the away locker room was set up. Each team has a specific way that they like things to be in their locker room, and you kind of learn that as the season goes on or as you continue working there. So I would make sure that the away team was good, set up the weight room for them, set up everything on the court, rebound the balls for them, just taking care of everything from a player standpoint so my boss could worry about other things like getting the jerseys, getting the uniforms, making sure everything like that was taken care of. So that was a very unique opportunity because one, it was with an NBA team, which isn't really common to say that you've worked for them. And also being a woman there, I got a really unique perspective. Now that brings up a different topic where being a woman, you're not allowed in all of the spaces that men are because like, let's say the men's locker room, like before, after the game, like right when they're getting ready or when they're changing, there's things that like as my job, I needed to get done, but as a woman, I wasn't allowed to go into the locker room during these times. So it's just kind of figuring out the balance. So then I started, you know, asking myself, like, am I doing enough? Like, is this okay? Like, what am I supposed to do during this time? So then I went to my boss and I just said, you know, I just want to make you know that since I can't be in here at this time, is there something else I could do to make like work? So then he ended up like letting me know that I could do different things during this time, like when the men are in there, because obviously the guys I work with are allowed to be in there. So when they were doing the things after the game that I wasn't allowed to do, I then found out the things that I would do during that same time. And it ended up working out. But it's just things like that that you don't really think about. Like when I went into it, I didn't think, okay, I have to plan to do things while they're changing in the locker room because I'm not allowed in there because so it's nothing to fault them for. It's just, you know, you can't always be somewhere. So that's going to definitely happen as a woman in sports, whether it's the locker room or people or whatever part, like you can't always be everywhere and you just have to accept that and know that that's okay. So I think that was really important. But I really did learn a lot working with the 76ers because you just see a unique side. You get to, you know, talk to these athletes every day and see like the human side of them and realize that, you know, they are just like us. They just happen to play a sport and get paid millions of dollars, but like they are like people at the end of the day. And I think that's important for people to remember. You learn a whole different side of athletes when you're working with them, especially working so closely and working so many hours. So I just think that's really important to remember and just take in every opportunity. Like whether it's big or small, don't ever compare your journey to other people because you don't know where people started. You don't know what people have been doing. You don't know how long people have been preparing or planning things. So like I like to say, don't compare your 3 days to someone's 3 years. So just looking at what someone else did, don't feel discouraged, but use it as motivation. Like, okay, I want to do that. I want to put that in my plan. I want to put that in my goal. And that's just something really important to do, especially in this industry and especially being a woman. we just have to lift each other up as much as we can and figure out how we can share these opportunities, how we can collaborate, and how to make the next woman better, because, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes we only have ourselves and we only have each other to lean on. So that's just something really important. And I know people in the sports industry tend to compare their journeys, just because, like, when something happens, you post about it and you're really excited, and people can look at that and, you know, kind of feel down that they haven't done that or that they aren't in the same spot. But it's definitely not about that. Everybody's at their own pace. It doesn't matter where you start, just as long as you're working towards the goal that you want to work towards. Just worry about your own journey, collab with other people, lean on other women, figure out what they did, what they didn't do, and just make friends, because it makes things a lot easier and it makes things a lot better. And like I always say, lift as you climb. If you know somebody who really would be good for a position that you might not want to do right now, pass their name on. Or if a woman isn't in the room with you, put their name in the room and make sure that they get that chance at the opportunity that either you had or you don't want to do. Because if it's not benefiting you, it can benefit somebody else. And that's really important, because it is kind of hard to find these positions. So if you know that you have access to them or have access to somebody who has them, why not pass it off to the next one if you're not able to do it? So that's something really important to remember. Just be nice and just try to help people out, because even in sports or without sports, just being a good person is just the right thing to do. And just to bring it over into sports, just lift up your fellow women. So that was really, really important. And that's something that I try to keep with me. So hopefully that will help some of you as you go through this journey. And then something that somebody asked me to start talking about was, how do you balance? So when I was in undergrad, there was times where I worked like 4 jobs at the same time, and I still had to maintain, you know, my friendships. I was still in college. I was still young. Well, I still am young, but I was in like my 2nd or 3rd year of college. So I was trying to balance all of that while working and while trying to make money at the same time. So a big thing with balance is I always keep a planner, and I color coordinate the planner. So if the Sixers had a game, I would write that in red. If the Jets had a game at the same time, I would write that in green, and just kind of plan out, but don't plan by for me, I don't plan by the weeks. I plan by the month, because I need to open my month and see, okay, on this day I can do that, but I can't do this. And then like you write down all of the games. So basically just prior planning is what I'm trying to get at, because if somebody asked me to do something 3.5 weeks from now, I could open my planner and say, okay, St. John's has a basketball game that night, but the next day I can do something, or they have a baseball game. So it's just really important to know what you're getting yourself into, so then you can balance it. But I also want to add, don't overwork yourself at such a young age. You will burn yourself out. And I've been there before, where I just want to keep interning and working. And this is when I had, I think, 5 positions. And I was starting to not sleep, and I would just work so much, and I would be so tired. Didn't see any of my friends, didn't go home to see my family. I was just in grind mode, which is good. I'm not saying don't be in grind mode, but you can't pour from an empty cup. So you need to make sure to take care of your mental health, especially in like this day and age and everything that's going on. Your mental health is extremely important. And if you're not 100%, then the work you put out will not be 100%. So just take time, like work as hard as you can, but just take time to, you know, make sure that you're okay and like everything's okay with you. You're getting sleep, you're eating, and you're balancing out your work. Because if you just work and you burn out, and I'm only 22. If I burn out at 22, what am I going to do the rest of my life? Like, am I going to lose my passion? Am I going to have to find something else to do? So it's just those things you have to think about, because we all want to be great. We all want to work as hard as we can. We all want to get it to the top. But if you burn yourself out now and forget to take care of your mental health, it can really be bad. And mental health is very serious, nothing to mess around with. So that's just something I want to shed light on, just to make sure you have balance. Still hang out with your friends, still go to dinner with your family, still go to any events that you can go to, while maintaining a healthy balance of working. So I got my balance down really well, because I wanted to see my friends all the time, and I still wanted to work all the time. So I ended up figuring out, you know, which top 3 jobs am I prioritizing, because I don't need to have 5 jobs right now. And then after that, how am I going to prioritize my weekends, my evenings? What am I going to do? Because I would get home at like 2, 3 a.m. sometimes and have either class at 8 a.m. or another game at 8 a.m. So it's things you have to really plan for, and to just make sure that mentally that you're good, and you're still have, you know, friends and family to lean on, because at the end of the day, like, that's all you have, and that's what you want to lean on. So that's really important. And be okay with be okay with missing out on things, but just know that the grind now will always pay off later. So there were some times that I would be working, and I would see my friends, you know, they would be doing something and I would be kind of bummed that I couldn't be there. But you just have to realize if you put your head down and work now and work towards the life that you want to have, in a few years or 5 years, 10 years, you'll look back and be thankful that that one college time you missed out on a party, like that's fine, but you were working towards something else that ended up coming in full circle and really working out for you. So I think that's really important. And yeah, just write down everything and just know that everything will pay off. And I think that's really important to have balance. So basically everything that I've been saying kind of goes back to one thing: just work hard now, do the best you can make connections. My connections is how I got a lot of my positions. And when I mean connections, I mean, I didn't know the people, but I would go on LinkedIn. This is a really good piece of advice. I would go on LinkedIn and I would reach out and say, hey, my name is Allie. I'm really interested in starting out in the sports industry. Is there any way I could shadow you for a day? Or is there any way you need an extra set of hands to volunteer at this sporting event? Just making yourself available, but not asking them like, hey, it's Allie, I need a job in sports, because they're just gonna exit out of my message if they even look at it. So that's not the right way to approach it, but I always, always, always tell my friends or women in sport or anybody who's trying to get into the industry, reach out to people, because you don't know who could reach out back to you, who could say yes, who could say anything, like who could give you an opportunity. And if they either don't respond or if they say no, it's not a loss to you. Like, you're not losing something. You're not, oh man, I wish I didn't do that. You either forget that you reached out or you just say, okay, on to the next. But when I worked the bowl games, I reached out to somebody on LinkedIn from ESPN, an ESPN event coordinator. I was like, hi, like, I'm really interested in this. Is there any way that you might need some hands-on help? Like, I would really appreciate it. They reached out to me, ended up flying me out and putting me up for a week. And I worked the bowl game for 2 years in a row. So it's just things like that that you might not think about. You might think, oh, like a head person at ESPN isn't going to message me back on LinkedIn, but who's to say that they're not? So that was something that really helped me, because then I connected with somebody about the Jets position and then the Sixers position. So you just never know who could reach out to you or who's willing to help you. So just reach out as much as you can, but without asking for a job or without being pushy, but just simply say, like, I would love to help you. I would love to do anything that you need help with, and just let them know that you're willing to, you know, put in that little work that people might not want to do, or like I said, isn't the most glamorous or the funnest. But by doing that, shows your dedication and shows your passion towards bigger projects and bigger opportunities that will come your way. So a lot of things for women in sport that we can all remember, but a big thing was just stick together, uplift the other women with you. And that was a big thing. Like I said, I learned at the USGA internship. All my friends can tell you, the first week I got there, I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm going to quit. Like, I don't want to put up fences. I don't want to put up windscreen. I was like jackhammering things, just like things, you know, you don't think about when you sign up to work a golf event. And my friends, I'm very thankful. They were like, you're not leaving. You're going to stick it out. And then, you know, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I could do all this stuff, and I could do anything that, you know, I had to do. And then now I know, and I can look back at those experiences and talk about it and say I windscreened 10 miles, or I built this with that, or we knocked down things. Like, it's just things that now you can talk about that I would have never done if I wasn't in those positions. So I just don't want, like, women to be afraid to apply to these positions because of being a woman, because that really doesn't change anything. And if they didn't want women or think they weren't qualified, you wouldn't be interviewing, or you wouldn't be applying, or they wouldn't be calling you back. So although you might feel discouraged, or, you know, not a lot of light is shed on women in sports, but who's to say that we can't change that and we can't be the start of a new era with women in sports? Because, you know, women in sports do a lot, and a lot of times it's slept on. When I tell people I work in sports, the guys are like, oh, you want to be near like the players, or you want to be like inside of a stadium, but you don't know the half that kind of goes into the behind the scenes, or like the work you put in. So I always give so much credit to all the women in sports I know, from wherever we work together, or if I just know you from social media, or if we've ever done any type of thing. It takes a strong woman to work in sports, and you have to be ready to take anything thrown your way. You have to just be willing to work. You have to be willing to know that people are going to doubt you, and it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, just realize, you know, I'm here for a reason. This is my purpose. This is my passion, and I'm going to get it done. So I think that's really important. And now it's 4:28. I'm going to see if anybody else has any more questions, because I can keep talking about my experiences for a very long time. But if you guys have any specific questions, I'll go ahead and answer them now. So if you have any of those, you can put them in the chat. And in the meantime, I'll tell you about some volunteer experience that I did. My work ethic. So I think my work ethic comes from seeing a goal. I'm really big on setting goals, whether it be a 3-month goal, a year goal, 5-year, 10-year. I just want to put my head down and work to get there, because I'll see people, this is what I'll do. I'll see people who have the positions that I want to hold, whether it's on LinkedIn, social media. I'll look at positions that one day I want to do, and I'll see like them doing it and them living my dream. And then I realize, okay, it's time for me to work. Like if I want to be there, nothing, the only thing that's holding me back is myself. So why not work? Why not put my head down and work as hard as I possibly can to see if I can get there, instead of looking at someone's Instagram and being like, oh, I wish I was doing that. I wish I could do that. But why can't you do that? So I think my work ethic comes from that, and just knowing that, you know, I want to make a difference. I want to be there for women. I want to help women. And that brings me to my shirt, the sports sorority. I just started there as the next gen development coordinator for the sports sorority, and I just love working for them. So we're a community connecting emerging women in sports and sports leaders. We just recently launched a membership, which comes with so many perks like coaching calls, discounts, and then a mentorship program that I'm leading. So I have a passion, obviously, for women in sports and connecting them and helping them out. So diverse, ambitious Gen Z women, connecting them and networking them. So I'm working on a project now where I'm creating a whole mentorship program for the sports sorority. So I'm looking for strong women leaders in the sports industry that, you know, are willing to help out the younger ones. Because when I was in college, when I first started, and when I just came to Temple, I didn't know any woman in sport. I was just trying to figure out, I know I want to do this, but I don't have anybody to lean on. I don't have anybody to ask these questions to. So I kind of wish that I had a mentor. I kind of figured it out on my own and became really good at figuring it out on my own. But I still think that it would have been a little easier to have a mentor to lean on, to bounce questions off of, just, you know, somebody who's been there before and can really help you. So that's what I want to do in the sports sorority. I want to help connect these young women who want a mentor and I don't know where to start, with women who have been there, know exactly what they're doing, been in their footsteps and are now successful, because everybody needs somebody to lean on. And if you have nobody to lean on, it just makes it a little bit harder to go through this, and we don't want that for anybody. We want you guys to have the best experience and, you know, figure out. So I'm working on connecting like-minded individuals with somebody younger than them, to really mentor them and just be there for them, have calls, have bi-weekly calls, talk about their goals, their steps, how to work with them. So if you guys, the sports sorority on Instagram, that's the Instagram name. You can follow them. You can see me on their page and reach out to me if you have any interest in the membership or mentorship. Both of them I highly recommend, because like I said, that's something I really, really wish I had in college, and I feel like it really could have helped me, whether just talking to somebody or the opportunities they post about, or the coaching calls with LaShonda. She's our founder and CEO. It's just, she puts so much dedication into it that you can really see that she does it for you all and to make your experience better. And then I'm finding the mentors. So I'm finding women who love leadership and who love helping out and really, you know, want to just help guide somebody and just be there for that person. Not saying they're just going to give them 10 opportunities, but when you create a genuine connection, things like that come from it. And I got my position at the sports sorority. I actually did an Instagram live with the sports sorority, just talking about, just like this, my experience in sports. And then I started talking about my passion for helping women in sports and how, you know, I really care about this, and how at one point I want to start a mentorship program. Ended up connecting with LaShonda, and it ended up working out. It became a great collaboration, and I love her, and I love the sports sorority and everything I do with it. And it just brings a whole different perspective, because now I finally get to have the chance to make a difference in other women's lives with the sports sorority, and really help them out and help their journey, and kind of be the person for them that I didn't really have. I didn't have a mentor. I ended up making connections and mentors, you know, throughout work and stuff like that. But if people who aren't as outgoing as me, who aren't like ready to just email people or ask if they could be a mentor, the sports sorority will really help you and connect, because the mentees will fill out a questionnaire and they'll be matched with the closest mentor who filled out the same questionnaire. So it's not just you're going to be with some random person. It's somebody who's literally like been where you are, and it can help you get to where they are. So I think that's really important, and that's why I love my position with them, because it really is all about helping the next generation of women and connecting us, emerging us, networking, and just making it as easy for them as possible. So yeah, the sports sorority on Instagram, you can reach out to them. If you guys need to reach out to me, my Twitter and Instagram is Ali Esposito 1. That's also at the top of the chat. So if you guys need that for any reason, and you can always reach out to me via social media or email. You can ask me on my social media for my email or ask me in the chat and I can send the email. But yeah, so basically the sports sorority is something that I hope all of you take a look at, regardless of your background, what you've done, what you're doing. I think that it's important for us women in sport, or women in general, to, have somewhere where they can go talk to other women, have somewhere where they can lean on people for support and ask questions and, just kind of have an open network and an open community to connect these, because it's not very common. And like I said, there's not a lot of us. So we have to stick together. And that's something I really like about them, is how oriented it is, and it's so driven around these young women. Like everything we do and everything that my team does is to help the next woman out with the things that we wanted help with, or that we could have needed, and things like that. So that's why I'm really excited about this mentorship opportunity that I'm creating, because I'm very passionate about. I get messages all the time from younger women, or even people my age, just wanting some help and just just to start out. So it's just really good that they can now have this person to lean on, and that's my ultimate goal with the sports sorority, is to make sure every woman has somebody else in their corner, somebody else like looking out for them, helping them out. And that's why I'm really passionate about what I do. So follow them and keep up with that. And the link in their bio, you can sign up to be the membership, which just started. And the perks with that, like I said, it's more than just, you can see that the time was put in on the back end creating this membership program. So I highly suggest that you all look at that. And yes, support systems are very, very important. If I didn't have my friends and my family, I probably wouldn't be working in sports right now, because there's been times where I'll come back from working a really, really long day and, I'm just over it, had a bad day, I don't want to do this anymore. But, my friends are always there to say, look where you started, look where you're at. People would love to be in this position. Like, let's go, let's get it together. And it's just very important to have those people to lean on. Even if I don't want to talk to my friends about sports, or if they don't know what I'm talking about when I tell them what I do at work, they're still there. And that's still very important to have, because if I didn't have them, I couldn't tell you where I'd be right now, because I lean on them all the time, and like they are part of me. So I just encourage everybody to have that. And if you don't have that, that's where the sports sorority will come in, and they will be that for you, and they will do that for you, because everybody needs somebody and everybody wants somebody to lean on. So with that being said, if there's no more questions, if there's any way that I could help out any of you all, feel free to please reach out to me on any platform. I'm very open. You can ask me anything you need, and I'm willing to help anybody, because I want us all to win, and I know we all can win. So if you don't have any more questions, you can put them in the chat. Other than that, I'm looking forward to connecting with some of you after this. And if you need anything or want anything from me, please reach out, and I'm looking forward to hearing from some of you.